Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and wherever you are around the world, a huge welcome to today's Postgrad Insights. As you will know, if you've been watching this over the last 2 to 3 weeks, this is a series of webinars which will focus solely on the USA and Canadian law schools. Now, before we go any further and we introduce you to today's special guest from Suffolk University Law School, I'd like to remind you this is a live session. If you're watching on demand, you'll need to send your questions through to gareth@postgradsolutions.com. If you're watching on a Zoom platform today by any chance, then you can ask your questions via chat or Q&A. And if you're watching today on Facebook, LinkedIn or Twitter, please pop them on your messenger facility and we'll endeavour to get back to you as soon as possible. Just a reminder about what's coming up. So we'll have a presentation from Suffolk. We'll have a Q&A following that, which will be accessible via our podcast channels on Apple Music, Spotify and TuneIn Radio as well as other outlets such as Amazon Music. We'll also go through what's coming up in the different sessions, but without wasting too much more time, I'd like to hand you over to Bridgett Sandusky. Bridgett is the Assistant Dean to Graduate Law Programs at the Law School, and she'll be taking you through the next 20 to 30 minutes.
So hello, everyone. My name is Bridgett Sandusky. I am the Assistant Dean of Graduate Law Programs at Suffolk University Law School, and we are located in downtown Boston, Massachusetts. And it's really my pleasure today to tell you a little bit more about Suffolk, about graduate legal education in the United States, and hopefully and to answer all the questions that you might have sort of about the process. And there's lots of different options out there. So first, let's tell you about where we're located. So we are located in Boston, Massachusetts, in the United States. That is on the East Coast. And Boston is a really unique and beautiful city, and that we're an old city by US standards. So the start of the American Revolution. And so you see this beautiful fall photo on the screen with the leaves and foliage, lots of beautiful brick buildings in these sort of like winding cobblestone streets. So very picturesque. But it's also a city of innovation, a city of universities and colleges. And so that means it's also a vibrant city, that there's lots of young people, young professionals who come to Boston to go to university and then continue to remain here for their career as well. It is a green city. The oldest public park in the United States is really directly outside of Suffolk Law School's doors. It's across the street. So that's the Boston Common. And it's the largest city in New England. We are routinely voted the best college town in the United States. And I think part of that might be because we also are known for our amazing sports team. So for every season that we have a professional sports team, and the Boston community really comes together and cheers on our winners, as you see in a photo here. The New England Patriots, our football team, when they have their big party and celebration when they win the Super Bowl, and they go right in front of this is Sergeant Hall, the law school. And Boston has everything else that you might expect and want in a place where you're going to come and study for a year. So it is a cosmopolitan city. It has a wonderful public transportation system. So all of the T lines, we call it the T, the subway, are all a couple minutes walk from the law school. So it makes it really accessible. You do not need to have a car. I promise you, I do not have a car. I live in Boston. There's dedicated bike lanes. So we're a bike friendly city. So it's a really interesting place, lots of museums, culture, live music scene. So it really is a great place to come and study. So you know a lot about Boston now. And when I say we're in the heart of the city, we really are in the heart of the city. So you can see on here that red dot right in the middle of Boston, a city of neighborhoods. We're in the downtown area, Beacon Hill, and we say Boston's our campus. Because we are not, having, the gated community, outside in the suburbs. We are located, our buildings, the law school is all in one building, self-contained, but the rest of Suffolk University's buildings are scattered around Boston. So we're really sort of integrated into the fabric of the city. as the Assistant Dean of Graduate Law Programs, and I've been at Suffolk for almost 18 years now, and in a variety of different roles, but always working with international students. I oversee about 9 different types of programs here at the law school, and the LLM program that I'm talking about is one of those programs. I do everything from international recruitment to following up with you with the admissions process. And then once students actually decide to enroll at Suffolk, I become their dedicated academic advisor. So I have lots of information and guidance and mentorship to provide to our students. And then one of the best parts of my job is when I am doing international recruitment, meeting up with alumni like Alex, who is located in São Paulo, Brazil, and came and completed his LLM in Global Law and Technology. And on my travels, I always outreach to alums to see if we can grab lunch or a chat over dinner. And Alex is currently the Senior Legal Director and Head of Legal and Data Protection Officer at Oracle, which is an international software company. And when I had dinner with him, he said one of the most gratifying things that I can ever hear from an alum of Bridgett, I am so grateful every day for the legal education that I learned at Suffolk. He goes, I would not be in the role, in the position that I am in today, but for the fact that I completed my LLM degree at Suffolk and the sophisticated legal knowledge that I learned during my time there. He goes, every single day I am drawing upon information and knowledge that I learned in my LLM program. So whether or not I'm dealing with an intellectual property rights issue, I'm dealing with a software licensing, an employment problem, he goes, contracts, I'm negotiating every single day. So for me, that is such a gratifying thing for you to hear. And this is why, I come to work every day, is really to be involved and be a part of seeing how international students primarily coming to the United States and how they're able to use this legal education as a springboard to further their careers back in their home countries. So for those of you who might not be as familiar with the US educational system, I thought it'd be helpful just to show a brief little slide about this. That we start with secondary school, which goes up to 12 years, and then people go into a university setting. And that's really a time for many students to explore. I was an international relations and political science major before then I went on to law school and earned my Juris Doctor degree. And then you can sit for a bar exam, and I'm a licensed attorney. Thereafter, you would then go and complete a Master of Laws, of which you are, investigating and are interested in perhaps pursuing. And then after that, we have the seminal degree in law, which is the doctorate degree of Doctor of Juridical Science. And we do offer that degree at Suffolk. That's one of the other programs that I oversee here as well. And if we do that in comparison to what many other legal systems, international educational systems, secondary school tends to be 12 or 13 years. And then oftentimes they're going straight into what is going to be your specialty, that's that professional. So you might be 18, 19 years old and going and saying and making that decision, I am going to be a lawyer. And so you are going to undergrad, earning your Bachelor of Laws degree, typically 3 to 5 years, and then you would be eligible to pursue an LLM degree. Having that first degree in law is what we're looking for. So it doesn't have to be, it's not a JD degree, although some places in the world it is, but not many. Usually it is that Bachelor's of Law degree. Sometimes it's in conjunction with a Master of Laws as well. And then that would make you eligible to do the LLM. It would make you eligible also, you can do and start from the very beginning in the United States if you want, in that Juris Doctor, but you do need to have an LLM degree in the United States for you to go and pursue that Doctor of Juridical Science degree as well. So why Suffolk? There are so many LLM programs around the world. There are many in the United States. We're all in different locations. And one of the best things that you can do is do research. If you're able to come and visit universities, law schools in person, that's obviously the best thing. That's not always something that everybody can do. And so one of the things that COVID is a positive is really kind of allowing us to bring forward through Zoom and video chats when we didn't really do that before. I would talk with people on the phone that were calling me from different countries or exchange emails. This way you're really able to provide a little bit more of context, answer questions, and they get to know you and get to know the university. So Suffolk, we are I would say a large law school in the United States. As you can see, just about almost 1,200 students currently. So that's JD students, LLM students, PhD students in law. We have just over 70 full-time faculty, and our faculty members are nationally and internationally known lawyers in their field, but really foremost, they view themselves as teachers. They welcome interactions with students. They want to get to know you. They love having international students in their classroom because that's the world today. That's our society, and having a different perspectives in our classroom makes it a richer experience for everyone. So our faculty members are always really excited when they have LLM students in their classes as well. And because of our location being in the heart of the city of Boston, that we're also able to draw upon the amazing adjunct law community. So these are full-time lawyers by day, and then they come and teach a specialized course at night for us in their expertise. And so they're really bringing that real world perspective into the classroom of this is what it says in the book, but let me tell you about what happened today at work. So really having that opportunity. And I've had students, LLM students, secure internships through either that adjunct law professor or through a contact of that adjunct law professor. So it really is a wonderful opportunity for students to sort of broaden their network as well, and allow our students to kind of get a glimpse into sort of that outside real life lawyering in the classroom as well too. We have law alumni around the world, over 24,000 and counting. And because we're a large law school, we're able to offer over 200 elective courses every academic year. So what does that mean? So for you, as an LLM student, you would choose between 4 to 6 courses maybe in a semester. So my job as your dedicated academic advisor is to help you narrow it down from 100 courses to about 4. And oftentimes when I'm first meeting with students, they'll have a list of, here are 20 courses I want to take, Bridgett. And okay, that's great. That's a starting point. But we need to narrow that down. So with my guidance, we're able to, talk about career goals. Do they want to take a bar exam? Do they want to specialize? And that allows me a chance to maybe suggest, even though they had 20 courses in front of them, there might be a course or two that they haven't thought about that based on our conversation, I think would be really excellent fits for them. So we have that. And then we have 4 programs in the top 25 in the US News and World Report 2023 edition. And those programs, if you think about what sort of qualities or attributes do you want to see or that you envision an excellent lawyer or advocate to have? You might say they should be an excellent legal writer. They should be a hard negotiator on behalf of their clients. They should be an effective oral advocate. And those are all the programs in which Suffolk is routinely voted year after year. And in fact, we're the only law school for 7 years running that had all 4 skills specialties in the top 20% across the United States. And those programs are our legal writing program, which is routinely in the top 10, if not in the top 5 in the United States, our alternative dispute resolution program, our clinical training, and our trial advocacy programs. And, I think what you should take away from that is that our peers recognize that at Suffolk, what we do best and that we are recognized again and again for is training our students to be lawyers. of providing them this hands-on, long before experiential learning was the buzzword that it is today. We were already doing that for decades. And that really focusing on not just providing theory to our students, but providing them new and innovative ways, hands-on learning, experiential learning, simulation-based courses, and outside externships for our students as well. And that's really at the heart and the soul of what Suffolk and Suffolk's mission and vision is. And then we were voted not once, but twice, the only 2 times that they've actually done rankings for the best school for legal technology. So #1 in the United States in fall of 2018 and winter 2021. And that really is, that was a mission of our current dean. And that in a very short period of time, he said, we're doing our students a disservice. Law schools, legal education is doing students a disservice by not incorporating how lawyers and law school students can utilize technology to be better lawyers, to be more efficient, to better serve our clients, and how in our own small way be able to do something good in this world as well. So we have our students, and it's not something you're required to do. So if you go, that's not for me, it's not something you have to do, but we have students that create smart applications. So applications you can go and download onto your smartphone in which they're solving real legal problems, providing accurate legal information and steps to individuals that don't know how to find that information or are confused or need help. So we're really pleased and having an opportunity to kind of continue that role as well. You have a lovely quote here from Spurti, who's originally from India, and she started in the LLM program, and she did an internship at an international company during her time, and then she stayed on there after she completed her LLM program, and she used that as a springboard. She has since moved on to a couple of other different companies, and currently as director of legal, and she's currently VP of legal and HR at HQO, which is a company that really focuses on bringing technological solutions to top companies around the world. So we're really proud of Spurti and all that she has accomplished after earning her LLM. And she also did the LLM in global law and technology. So Suffolk University, we were founded in 1906, so over 100 years old, and we have a really interesting founding story. I'll be very brief about it, but I think it's worth telling because it really does drive who we are today. The man who founded Suffolk, Mr. Gleason Archer, was not a wealthy man, and in fact, he couldn't pay to go to law school himself, but for the generosity of a benefactor who said, I will pay for you to go, and he did. And when Mr. Archer completed his law degree, he went to go and pay his benefactor back, and he said, I'm not interested in your money, but if you have an opportunity to do this for somebody else, please do so. And Mr. Archer took that to heart. And at the turn of the century in the early 1900s, as you might expect, legal education was reserved for white males, primarily from wealthy families. It was an undergraduate degree at that time. It wasn't a graduate degree here in the US yet. And Mr. Archer thought anybody, no matter their background, who they were, where they came from, who their family was, if they wanted to pursue a law degree, they should be able to do so. So really that dedication to access, to providing and that opportunity to everybody. And that's something that, that's in our roots. That's who we are. We started as a law school. He founded the law school in his living room in Roxbury, Massachusetts. So we come from a very humble beginning, but a beginning that I think resonates with who we are today and who we want to continue to be in providing access and opportunity to individuals from around the world. And so we have grown to being an international university. Our primary campus is in Boston, Massachusetts, but we also have another campus in Madrid, Spain, and we have international students at the university from around the world. Why now? You wouldn't be here today or be listening to this recording if you actually didn't really already know the answer to that. It's not enough nowadays just to know your own local law, wherever it is that you are. The world has changed. We used to say there was kind of local law and international law, but I posit that we're practicing transnational law. It is really difficult to say you will never touch an international issue. So you could have somebody that, designs a product in one country, produces that product in another country, and sells that product in yet a third country. And all of those transactions require lawyers with knowledge about other legal systems, how things work. And technology has certainly driven us forward into globalization. And just the practice of law has changed. So for those individuals, for students or lawyers, if you're already practicing lawyers and saying, this is something I've always wanted to do, or this is important to me, you're forward thinking. You are doing something that not many individuals do. So to be able to come to the United States to pursue another law degree, and we're a common law jurisdiction, maybe you come from a civil law jurisdiction, you're learning a new culture, a new language. Those, besides the legal knowledge that you're learning, those are all things that are really valuable and will help you build upon both your soft skills too, which employers are really looking at, cultural competency, and things like that. So a couple more lovely photos. I believe in truth in advertising. You definitely will see snow in Boston. So we are not just beautiful photos of a gorgeous fall day with the foliage that you see, or a spring day. This is a picture taken of the public garden, which is next to the Boston Common, which is across the street. These two photos, the snow and the beautiful fall day, this is the law school building. So it's a 7-story tall building. And then if you've always wanted to learn to sail, this is a picture of the Charles River, which separates Boston from Cambridge, Massachusetts. And you can take community boating lessons. So there's so much to do. If you like skiing, there's great places to ski during the winter time. You can do kayaking on the river. I do that on a regular basis. It's just gorgeous. As I said, take a bike. There's beaches, obviously, because we're right on the East Coast. So just lots of things to do, and we try to take advantage of every season. And as I like to say to our students, particularly those that come from much, much warmer climates all year round, I say there are no bad days, there is only bad clothing. So we make sure you get all bundled up and get the right clothing to really be able to enjoy everything that Boston has to offer, no matter the season or the weather. So a little bit more about why Suffolk, because I said you have lots of choices, and this is a really important decision that you're making. You are going to be investing a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of effort on your behalf as well. And so it's up to you to find a program that's going to be the best fit for you. And at the end of the day, that's all I want for you as well. So in meeting with students, if you contact me and say, oh, I want to do maritime law, we don't offer an LLM in maritime law. We offer one course in maritime law, but there's other programs that do that. So providing you information, if we're not the best fit for you, I want you to be somewhere where it is going to be a good fit for you. But I think Suffolk, we have just so much to offer. As I said, our location is number one. Our building, we're located right in the heart of the city in a modern and beautiful, sophisticated building. We offer 2 LLM degrees, so we'll talk a little bit more about that. The general LLM degree, as well as the LLM in global law and technology. And then we have a new Master's of Science in Law and Life Sciences. So if you are interested in the intersection of law, business, and science, perhaps this would be an interesting degree for you as well. I'm not going to talk much more about that, but you can get in contact with me if you want to learn more about that degree. Because we are both a full-time and part-time program. As an international student, and I'm talking as if I think most individuals listening today or watching this later on, you would be coming to the United States on an F1 student visa. So you have to be full-time. But it doesn't mean that you can't take advantage of the fact that at Suffolk, we offer classes starting at 9 o'clock in the morning until 10 p.m. at night. And so if you are an early morning person and you get up and starting the day and you like to do morning classes, have at it. You can do that. But if you like to get up in the morning, maybe you like to do your reading then, and you'd rather take courses later on in the afternoon or in the evening, you can do that as well. It's whatever works best for you and your learning style, and kind of your own body, you know, how you think and learn best. So that's really not every law school. Lots of law schools, it's kind of classes end at 4 or 5 o'clock, if at that, if they're a full-time program only. And this will make a difference if you decide to pursue an experiential opportunity in the second semester of your Llm program. So an externship host would want you to be working with them and for them during the day, of course, and then you're able to do that and still do your courses. So you can do your courses at night. So it just provides another layer of flexibility for our students. You have the ability to specialize and customize your program with my personal one-on-one advising, with the support and dedication of our faculty members, and you have 2 different start cycles. So you can start as soon as this coming January, and we are still accepting applications for January 2023, or you can start a traditional start date would be the end of August. I already talked about the depth and the breadth of the number of elective course options that we offer. And then every single LLM applicant is automatically reviewed for merit-based scholarship potential. And so up to a total award, the highest award is a 50% reduction of your total tuition costs. And the vast majority of our students do receive some level of funding. Not everybody's going to receive the top award, although we don't have really a limitation on those, the number of those awards, but the vast majority of admitted students receive some level of funding. And then, as I said, you're able to pursue an externship in the second semester of the program. And then obviously during OPT optional practical training, you are able to stay in the United States for another full academic year after your degree has been completed. I did say Boston was our campus, and this is a picture. You can see the Massachusetts State House. So that's the seat of government for the state of Massachusetts, is that beautiful gold domed building. And so this is across the street from the law school. And this is a nice quote from Marty. Marty, when he came to Suffolk, he was a partner in a law firm back at home. And then when he returned, he had an internship while he was here in a mid-sized law firm. And he just found it to be such a rewarding experience. He was also a research assistant. He authored a practice pointer in one of our faculty members' books. And then so when he went to return back home, he still maintained and as a partner in the law firm, but he also started teaching at one of the area Filipino law schools because he just enjoyed that experience so much while he was here. And he was a consultant to a waterworks agency in the Philippines as well. So we had 3 jobs, and now that wasn't enough for Marty. So most recently, he became a judge. And so we're very proud of what Marty has been able to do, and we look forward to following his career in the Philippines. So here are some pictures from inside of the law school building that looks like a courtroom. Once a year, it actually is a real courtroom, but most of the time it is our training facility for our students. So if they do a course like trial advocacy, they're doing an entire trial. So if you've been watching courtroom dramas here and from the United States, and you said you've always wanted to kind of do an opening and closing statements, how do you introduce evidence? How do you present differently to a bench trial versus a jury trial? So students are able to utilize, we have 3 of these moot courtrooms. And this is the Great Hall. When you're coming in from the outside, you'll see it's quite modern, the building. There's beautiful artwork on the walls, a variety of different sort of seating areas, just a really pleasant environment. And it was purposely designed for law school. So they really took thought of what did we want our space to accomplish? What do we want our students to do? We want our students to study. So students get the best and most beautiful space for the law library on the top 2 floors with stunning views of the entire city. And then I think even just as important is our faculty offices are located on the second and third floors where all the classrooms are located. So it really provides us informal opportunities to engage in conversations, to see students, answer questions. I'm in a faculty suite. And so running into students, oh, Bridgett, I have a question. Do you have a minute? Sure, let's schedule an appointment. So it's really nice to have that informal interaction. Faculty members aren't hidden away in another building that students don't get to see. And then the top photo, this is one of our larger classrooms. I'd say we have, small seminar rooms that might seat only about 20 students. And then we have larger lecture halls. The largest one seats about 125 students. And then this is our reading room. So a very sort of traditional format. And then there's, study rooms, other smaller spaces, nooks and crannies, carrels for students to be studying at as well. Here you had Haitham, originally from Saudi Arabia, who completed an experience at the Federal District Courthouse. And now he is back at home where he has been a professor there for a number of years. Because we're a large law school, there's so many activities and ways for you to get involved as a student. So we have over 40 active student groups just for law school students. So International Law Students Association, to APALSA, Asian Pacific American Law Students, to the Journal of Health and Biomed, to entertainment law, sports law, high tech, business law. There's just about everything that you could think of. So for over 40 different active student groups. So we always encourage students to to get involved. It's another wonderful networking opportunity, also a great way to meet with and get to be friends with Americans as well who are in your JD courses. And our LLM students have come from around the world. We're a small to mid-sized LLM program where you're not going to be anonymous. If you're looking for a 200, 300 person LLM class, that's not Suffolk. That's not who we are. That's not who we want to be. We are a small to mid-sized, any given time, 20 to 25 students. So it really allows them to have a personal connection and get to know each other. And, I see from the years that have gone by, they're in each other's weddings, around the world, or, they share business. They go, oh, I know Alex doesn't practice this type of law, but I'm looking for a lawyer in Sao Paulo and he would be a great start. And so they do referrals that way as well. So a global network. This is a picture from graduation, May of 2022. And I can see, we have a student here from Vietnam, from Italy, from India, from Panama, and from Brazil, all sort of in this front row. So a really sort of diverse array of students. And Suffolk University, we are ranked 14th nationally out of every university and colleges in the United States. We're number 14 in the percentage of international students that we have at our institution. So we are very proud about that aspect as well. So you've heard me mention now the Master of Laws in Global Law and Technology, and you will have one required course, U.S. Law, Legal Reasoning, and Writing, and that is only for international students. All of your other courses, you're going to be with LLM students, JD students, PhD students, exchange students. You might be the only LLM student in a course. It depends on the type of course that you're taking, or there could be, 15 LLM students in a particular course and only 10 JD students. It really depends on the types of courses that you're choosing. And then there's one required seminar. So out of the 24 credits that our LLM is comprised of, you are able to choose for those other 20 credits. You can certainly always do more than 24 credits if you want to do that as well. And there are 4 specialized tracks. So you can earn up to 2 specializations. So international law and business, IP and IT, biotech and health, and US law and legal methods. And then we have our general Master of Law. So your diploma, general, is nowhere to be found. I'm often asked that question. It is a Master of Laws is your diploma title. And you have that same seminar course just for international students, the U.S. Law, Legal Reasoning, and Writing. And then you're able to custom design the program to fit your own specific career goals and interests. So with my guidance and help, it is often a course that students will think about if they're planning on taking a bar exam in Massachusetts. New York or California tend to be the markets that most of my students would be thinking about if they want to take a bar exam in the United States. And talking about bar exams, just a quick slide because there's always questions about this. Lawyers are licensed for a particular state. You are not licensed on a federal level. So I am licensed to practice law in the state of Connecticut. I am not licensed to practice law in the United States of America in every single state. So you take a bar exam dedicated to a particular, we now have the uniform bar, but it's still tied to a particular state. And so you can gain licensure if you complete a JD degree anywhere in the United States, and then plus, other territories, the District of Columbia, for example. And if you do only an LLM program, there's going to only be certain bar exams that allow you to gain eligibility. That eligibility might be conditioned in the state of Massachusetts. You must be a licensed lawyer in your home jurisdiction in good standing. And then you have to take certain coursework. Versus New York, you don't have to be a licensed lawyer, but you must have completed all of your legal education. And then you have to take certain coursework. So if this is something, you don't need to make this decision until you're actually, starting in an LLM program, choosing courses. It's a quick degree. It's only 2 semesters. We do allow students to stay upwards to 3 semesters if they would like to. And they might have a variety of different reasons why they would like to do that. And you're allowed to on your F1 student visa. But it goes by very quickly. So you do need to, as a full-time student, have that plan in mind from the very beginning of the program. So if that's something that's important, an LLM in tax, for example, is not going to allow you to be able to do the coursework, the basic bar tested subjects that you would be required to gain eligibility in most of the other states. And as I said, there's a handful. Massachusetts is one of them. But not, it's not even 50, I'd say maybe 20% of US states can allow. Some of that will depend on if you're coming from a civil law or a common law jurisdiction. So we are accepting applications. We have priority application deadline for January 2023 is coming up very soon, just in about 2 weeks. And then there is plenty of time for you to be considering an application for fall of 2023. That priority application deadline is not until May 15th. So lots of time to do that. We prefer for you to use LSAC, the LLM Credential Assembly Service, but we know sometimes that's not always possible for a variety of different reasons. If you think you have one of those reasons, then certainly please contact me and we can have a discussion about it. $60 application fee. Personal statement, that's your opportunity to shine. Show the admissions committee, why is it you want to pursue an LLM degree? Why do you want to pursue an LLM degree at Suffolk? And my own personal advice for you, best advice, take notes, proof your personal statement. No admissions committee wants to read their school's name misspelled. And even worse, I think, seeing another school's name within their personal statement. So make sure you have other people read it, make sure there's no spelling errors. So really important piece of your application. Your resume, 2 letters of recommendation that should be legally related, official transcripts, an average GPA of a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale. And so that's average. There's certainly people above it and there's people below it. At Suffolk, we view and utilize a holistic application review process, and that we are not just focusing on one part or element of your application. We're looking at it as a complete package in a holistic manner. And then if English is not your first language, you did not complete your legal education in English, then you must prove your English language proficiency score. That is for your benefit. You want schools to be requiring you to take that to prove that you're able, as I said, you're spending a lot of time, a lot of money. I am invested in your success. I want you to be successful in the LLM program. And for that requires you to have a high level of English language proficiency. So we do require TOEFL, IELTS, or we started accepting Duolingo during COVID, and have had, very good results with that. So we are continuing to accept that as well. And then just very briefly, if you do need to continue to work on your English language proficiency skills, we have the Into Suffolk University campus, and we offer 2 different Llm Pathway programs. So this allows you to take either some courses from the law school. So you're earning either 5 credits in 1 semester or 7 credits over a 2-semester pathway, at the same time that you are taking supportive English language proficiency, or improving your proficiency skills, so that you will be a successful LLM student in that following semester or in that following year. So this is also an option for students. And then here's my contact information. So llm@suffolk.edu. It comes straight to my mailbox. So it doesn't go into sort of the never space, that never to be heard from again. It's just easier than doing my full first initial and last name if you're just jotting this down. So llm@suffolk.edu. You can also book appointments directly with me at the You Book Me link located below. And I sincerely hope that you'll consider applying and doing an LLM program at Suffolk Law.
Thank you, Bridget. Very, very insightful. And it's a great insight actually into not just what it's like studying at Suffolk, but what it's like as a place. So before I elaborate further on that and ask you more questions, I'd like to welcome our podcast listeners and all of you that are watching today on social media. We're now going to partake in a Q&A. We've got Bridgett Sandusky with us, Assistant Dean of Graduate Law Programs at Suffolk Law. So like I just mentioned, I think there's no one better to talk about Suffolk than you. You mentioned already you've been working there for 18 years, and you must be part of the furniture there now, which is wonderful.
Some days it seems like it.
It's such a horrible phrase, but it's so true, and there'll be nobody more than yourself that understands the place, the city of Boston, the region better than yourself. So just tell me, you mentioned earlier on about the it being the 14th largest percentage of international students in the USA. What is there for international students to do? Because a lot of people make big commitments and can be anxious times for students as well. So what is there to do in the city? What is there on campuses to make you feel welcome? And what kind of culture is there?
Right. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So it seems like I'm having more of a conversation with you and our podcast listeners. There's so much. The city, as I said, is full of life. There's an international student services office, and so they routinely will offer different activities for students to be participating in, sort of like mentors or a home away from home program that we can set them up with. The law school itself, we just had last week, the week before, I guess, our welcome reception. So we invite our new students and students that are currently here, faculty, administrators, and I also invited, because we didn't really have these for the past 2 years, I invited some recent graduates too that are local still, and it was just such a wonderful night. They're like, "Can we do this every week, Bridget?" And I was like, if only my budget allowed that, I'd be happy to. We can't do it every week, but I'm like, we do that at least once a semester. And then we have touchstone points. So students, I maintain an open office for our students. I'm sort of a de facto dean of students, or, mom, I'd say, to many of them. I know that their family's visiting. I know if they're experiencing, homesickness. They know they can come to my office and get a piece of candy, and just, see, a nice smile, and, some encouragement of, what's going on. If they're having difficulties in a class, we have a lot of resources and support for them as well in our academic support program. And then outside of the law school, as I said, we're a city of sports. So if students are ever interested, they're like, "Oh, America, the Americans are crazy about sports." that's even so much truer about Boston. Everybody puts aside their differences, and it's the Boston Red Sox or for baseball. We have the Patriots for football, the Boston Celtics for basketball, and then the Boston Bruins for our professional hockey team. So students will often get cheap tickets, attend games. There's great concert venues. So all the big name, concerts come through Boston, as well. And there's a really interesting, live music scene for students to, kind of participate in. There's world-class shopping, amazing restaurants for students to partake in. I think, Boston is such a fun, because there's so many young people that it's really hard not to kind of find your place. It's not as if you're in, the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I think it still has this, what I call human scale feel to it. So for students, we're not New York City. We don't hold ourselves out. There's no other place like New York City. But that's not who we are. We are human scale, a livable place. And that you can really walk across the city, but you still have everything that a really larger city has to offer. So amazing, museums. We certainly have tons of history. I'm looking outside my office window right now, and it's the Granary Burial Ground. So there's 3 signers, Declaration of Independence, that are across the street. So it's this cool vibe.
That was going to be one of my main questions, actually, because I've been to Boston before myself, and it was many years ago now, actually. But one thing that I took away from it is how calm it was. It's calm but vibrant at the same time. And like you just mentioned, that it's not New York City. Very few cities are. You got Paris and London, but in the States, very few cities are like that. But where you guys are based, you're not actually a million miles away from anything you want to do. If you want to go to Niagara Falls, it's not a million miles away. If you want to go to New York City, it's not a million miles away. But there is that calmness within the city that is very unique to Boston. It's safe, it's welcoming, it's cultural, and it's got all those things. So it's a really good insight. Now, elaborate further on the city, accommodation and costs. Where would you live within the university? Is it close to campus, and therefore, because it's not New York City or DC, is it slightly more affordable?
Yeah, and so, as a metropolitan city, housing is more expensive than if you're going to go to an Llm program in the Midwest, for example. And, I don't think we're as expensive as New York, but we're probably not that much less expensive. Some of it's just going to depend on location. One of the things, as I said, for Boston, we have public transport. The subway system started where it was the first in the United States, was in Boston. Actually, and that's the T. And outside of our door, that's how faculty, students, I take public transportation every day with my young daughter. So it's reliable, it's safe. So the bus, all of the 5 subway lines are within a couple minutes walk for students too. So they don't, if you want to live in Beacon Hill, you're going to pay a lot of money to live in Beacon Hill.
Of course.
And some students do, and that's great. And that's wonderful. But if you say, I don't mind, lots of us will commute, 30 or 40 minutes, on the T, on one of the buses, or have a little bit of a walk. And then you can be looking at things that are, more reasonable. We do not have on-campus housing for our graduate students. We really only guarantee housing for our undergraduate first-year students. As you might expect, real estate is at a premium as well. And so we do have some dorms, but those are reserved for our undergraduate students. What we do have is our Office of Off-Campus Housing. And so that is a wonderful office in which they provide information about the different neighborhoods. And Boston really is, it's a city built around neighborhoods. So, we have the North End, which is predominantly where many Italian immigrants land. And so there's lots of Italian restaurants there still. And we have Chinatown, and we have Back Bay, and we have Beacon Hill and Bay Village. And so it is a lot of, and each sort of neighborhood has its own sort of feel with it as well for students. So I'd say you're looking for all sort of expenses, living, housing, fun things to do, spending money. somewhere around $20,000 to $24,000 for the academic year.
Excellent. Okay. So let's talk about the courses and more detail about intakes as well. Let's talk about those January intakes you've got. You know, the deadline application was October 15th, I think it was, something around
Yes.
there. Talk to me about the differences between a January and a September intakes, because a lot of people, and the feedback we always hear is that we prefer to go in September. It gives us a little bit of time over the summer to settle in and to calm down. And quite often, LLM providers offer you like a pre-summer course as well to feel a bit more welcome and to get your feet under the table. Is that available for January intakes as well? And if so, how do you go about helping them bed in?
Right. No, that's a great question. So for F1 student visas, they can't come sooner than 30 days before the start date of the semester. So that's the law. So it's not like they can't be here for the entire summer. If they're starting in August, they can come 30 days before the first start of classes. And during January, they are the only ones that are starting in January. It's because JD programs routinely start only in the fall semester, although we have a JD program that also starts in May. So we're kind of used to unique and different cycles of students starting at different times. And then I think we just work harder to make sure that they are aware of the different opportunities. We have a mandatory orientation sessions before the week before for both fall and for January. I say the one really big benefit of starting in January is that you have the summer of after you complete your first semester to do a full-time internship. So during a semester, you have a limitation of only 20 hours per week versus during the summer, there is no such limitation. During summer, you can be a full-time worker internship and pursue that on a full-time basis. And students are able to take courses during the summer if they want. So maybe they want to lighten their load a little bit. Versus for other LLM students, because they're going to be here for the year anyways, but I'll be honest, a lot of them want to just go and explore the United States, and it's a great option for them. They, work really hard during that, spring semester, and then they go and explore what everywhere else in the United States is like. So they enjoy in doing that too.
That's a really important point, because students all year round, they work their backsides off. We know they do, and the rewards are there at the end. But sometimes you just need to let off steam, whether it's go to a few nightclubs, whether it's go to a few pubs, whether it's go and watch the Celtics, the Red Sox, and so on from there. I think that's so important. Talk to me about the courses in particular then. You mentioned the various different LLMs you guys have got. Are they online options? Are they purely face-to-face on-campus options? And do you offer anything online?
So we do not offer a full LLM online. We are offering more online or hybrid courses than we have in the past. So part of that, I think, is because of COVID, but we also have a hybrid JD program that we just started. And so they're building up the number of courses that are online. Those students do all in person for 1 year, and then the rest of the time they can complete in online courses. So there is sort of a developing portfolio of online courses for students to be doing that. But most of the time their courses are going to be in person. And I think that's what they're paying for. If you're able to come to the United States, you want to be involved, you want to be part of that community. And a lot of that is going into class, learning from the faculty member there. I was really proud of Suffolk and our faculty members and how we adapted and, still provided an excellent academic experience for our students during COVID. But, I think for me, I'd much rather be in person. It was so, as I said, it was so wonderful having that reception, and something that I think students, I was trying to book rooms for a couple other events that I'm holding in November. And there are so many events going on. every single week, because I think it's this pent up demand. There's, and all the events are free to students. So whether or not, we're having a special event today, this Friday, we have a day-long intellectual property and innovation conference, looking at some really interesting things going on in that sphere. And that's just, different speakers, guest lecturers. There's always, and usually it's always with free food too. So students are like, oh, I'll go, I'm a little hungry.
Especially in today's world as well, that's all important.
Right. So we always know how to win our way to the students' hearts as well.
I want to finish off on one final point. You mentioned earlier on in the webinar that we were presenting on about the personal statements and how important that is. And, that's an opportunity to shine and really sell yourself. Can you talk to me about what you mentioned? Because, you did say proof check it, get as many people as you can to check through them. Don't do the major sins which are mentioned in other law schools and things like that. And can you elaborate further on that and what you think would make a great personal statement from a Suffolk perspective?
That's a great question, and one that I think many students struggle with, applicants struggle with, because it's not something they commonly do anywhere else. It's a very US based thing of doing this personal statement. So like, what's the best way? Like, what should I say? And there isn't one way to approach a personal statement. I will have some students that the personal statement is really very personal. It often, might be a story of how they became inspired to be a lawyer, why they felt the necessity to pursue law as their profession. And oftentimes that might be of something that happened to someone they know, to themselves, or what they see as an injustice in the world. And so for them, it's really important. That's such a part of their identity that they want to share that with the admissions committee. And so I think that's kind of one kind of aspect when I read that. And then there's the other one in which they don't really share much about a personal background or history. They have done their research. They are, directed. They know exactly what it is that we offer, what they want to accomplish, what they are viewing, the types of courses. I can see that they like, wow, they really did some research. And that's, to me, as important, or if not more important, because of fit. As I said, you can be the brightest, individual. And if you say at the end of the day, I want to come to Suffolk because I want to study space law. We don't offer space law. I'm not going to admit you because I don't have what it is you want. But if you said, I'm really interested in legal technology and innovation or intellectual property, or, I've looked at the number of business courses that you offer, and the faculty members, this faculty member, and they'll reference this, then I go, wow, they really want to be here. It might be that they've visited Boston. And sometimes, there may be, as we said, I've been here for a while. I'll meet, an inquiry when they're just coming to Boston and learning English. So they might know a few words, they make their way to my office somehow. And, and then it's a couple years down the road. Or they're on vacation with their family and they're on the Freedom Trail, they're at the Granary Burial Ground, and they're like, oh, a law school. Well, you want to do an LLM at some point, right, son? And they go and they're like, oh, can we meet with you? Sure, I drop anything as long as the dean's not calling me up to his office. I drop whatever I'm working on and to meet with people, because I think that's important. And that it provides them an opportunity to get to know you. And for me, when I see them sort of that metamorphosis, that change from when they're just learning English, and then, in a short period of time, sometimes it's a year, sometimes it's 2 years, and then they're like, I'm ready to apply. I have this. And just how dedicated they are, and how hardworking And to just see and be part of that growth. I think it's an amazing, I'm in an amazing job every day. I think Suffolk is a wonderful place for students to pursue, but being part of that on a regular basis, I think there's nothing more gratifying than that.
Lovely. And I think we'll finish on that because that is a lovely note. So thank you for your time, Bridgett. It's been a really informative session. This has been part of a webinar session and part of the US festival that we've been taking part in. Now our sponsors today, Suffolk Law, have been talking to you all about studying in Boston, studying in the USA and the great opportunities, but that was really insightful. So thank you very much. And at this stage, I'd like to say thank you and bye-bye. We're just going to move on a little bit about what postgrad.com and LLM Study have to offer. So in terms of what Postgrad offers, we're the number one student portal in the world for postgraduate courses, over 200 countries for you to study at. Partnerships with high international scholarship providers aiming to come into the USA and to the UK as well. The best advice and accommodation, visas, careers, English language support, and so much more. So head over to our website if you haven't already. LLM is the exact same, focusing purely on LLMs. A little bit more information on JDs, like we touched on today, but purely LLMs really. And an opportunity for you to apply for one of our £500 bursaries. Now, any student from anywhere around the world can apply for this, whether you're full-time, part-time, have applied for funding through Suffolk or any one of our other partners. Please head over to our website and apply. We will try and do our very best to make sure you're in the hat and you've got that chance of winning £500. But for now, a huge thank you, everyone at Suffolk, for making this session happen behind the scenes, and in particular to you, Bridgett, as well. So a huge thank you, and we look forward to seeing everyone for next week's session with our next US Festival partner. Thank you very much and take care.
Thanks so much for having me, Gareth.
Thank you, Bridgett. All the best.